Skip it up and that up. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Rich of Review Tech USA, and this is going to be a very special, interesting video because many of you know I have been heavily entrenched in the DKOldies saga. I would include Jay here as well, Jacob R, and many other YouTubers. And we have a former employee here. He will go by the name of Jigsaw, um, who worked there. I just found out for probably almost close to 3 years, and he has some interesting stories to tell. I'll let him introduce himself, and we will get into it because there's a lot to talk about.
Hi guys, I'm Jigsaw, and like Rich said, I worked at DK Oldies for close to like 3 years, 2.5, 3 years.
So, how did you even get the job there? Was it someplace that was local to you, or how did it come to your doorstep?
Yeah, so I'd heard of the website before, but didn't really. I knew the prices were high, so I never bothered with them. And I had to buy a Super Nintendo, so I bought one from them. And when I was checking out, I noticed that they were only like an hour away from me, so I just went over there and picked it up from the store. And I was telling Joey about how my job sucked. And I think I probably said, like, if you guys are hiring, I wouldn't mind working here. And then, like, a few days later, Scott, the co-owner, called me and asked me if I wanted a job there. And that's pretty much how it happened.
Wait, like the Joey, dreamy Joey that's in all the shorts was the
Yeah.
guy you
Is it a wig? Is it a wig, or that's his real hair, right?
It's real.
Oh.
That's amazing. Okay. So, what was your main job there? What did you do at DK Oldies, or did you have multiple jobs?
I was a shipper. So I was the guy that was like cleaning the games and the consoles and stuff and then putting them in boxes.
So, can you actually walk me through the process, like the whole process of, say, I'm a customer, I order something from the internet. What happens in the store? I know that there's different divisions. Like, apparently, there's a cleaning division. Somebody's cleaning games. Somebody's cleaning systems, quote unquote, and somebody's filling out orders, shipping, and all of that sort of thing. Can you walk me through exactly how it happens in the store?
Well, the way that they do things now is a little bit different from the way that they did it back then because they didn't have so many people working there. So we didn't have like different departments per se.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of just, I guess we did. It was just for like one guy in repairs, and then there was maybe four people, including me, doing the shipping and cleaning and stuff. So essentially, somebody would just order something online. Whoever had come in first would pick out the orders for the day and lay them out on a table, and then shippers would just go grab an order and check everything on the packing slip and then get to work cleaning it.
So, I mean, here's the one of the big questions of the whole, interview. When it comes to Drew and how he's interacting with the staff in terms of how clean the products have to be before they leave the store, did you have sort of a process that was taught to you by anybody on how to clean the games? And did they double check that process ever with you?
Yeah, so the way we would train people is they would show you for like part of a day, part of one day, they would show you how to clean games, and then they would show you how to clean like one system. And then for the next like week or two, probably they would just have you clean stuff on your own and then put it into a packing sleeve, but leave it open. And then like somebody would come around and take your bin and they'd go through all of your packages and make sure everything's correct.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we know that you're not an idiot, we let you seal up your own stuff. Systems was different though, because if you did a system pack, obviously it's a lot more money. So that would you would do that and then you'd put your box aside and then a supervisor would come and collect that every single time and they would check that before it goes out. So all the systems got it at least checked at least two times, but the games kind of just went out after you cleaned them.
Kind of sounds like a very intense process for a place that doesn't seem like they refurbish anything at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's pretty like for damn man, these things should be coming out of here looking spotless with how you say the system works there
Yeah, so how did mistakes get past you guys? For instance, Rich has ordered three systems
in
and
a row.
all in a row, and all three of those, again, you haven't worked there for what, 9 months or whatever, but How does something like that happen? All these YouTubers are getting these devices and they're all dirty, nothing is opened. When you're saying that, yes, people are looking at this stuff. So who's actually at fault when it comes to a product being sent out of the store that's not clean? Is it the staff, or is it the owner not teaching the staff properly?
Well, first of all, we didn't even we didn't like open anything and clean inside. I did that after a little while just by choice, but we were told actually not to do that.
By
Um,
Drew, to be clear, right?
yeah, Drew, everything that we were told by management or whatever had to go through Drew first. So yeah, technically Drew told us all of this. Drew told our shipping manager, Rob, that we're not supposed to open them to clean them. We're only supposed to open them if there's like a broken piece making a noise inside, and then we have to close it back up. And that I'm pretty sure that was because of time constraints. They wanted to just ship everything as fast as they could.
So did Drew ever come to you, or any of the staff come to you and say, "Listen, it's cheaper for us to fix the mistakes than to actually fix the mistakes before they go out"? Was that sort of a game plan in mind when they went with that way of, sending orders out?
No, nobody ever said that specifically or anything. It was kind of just um, just clean the outside to make it look really nice and look like it's cleaned up and refurbished, and that was it.
So who would get in shit for a system being sent back to the store for being dirty?
Okay, so we would put our initials on each packing slip that we did.
Hmm.
So basically, if a customer had a problem and they called the store, we would ask them whose initials are on it, and then they would go and talk to that person.
And did you ever get a talking to by Drew?
I didn't know. Drew hardly ever talked to us. It would mostly be the shipping manager that talked to us because Drew was like hardly ever in the store.
But
Yeah.
how could they even get you in trouble though when they're the ones incentivizing to say, "Hey, if nothing's rattling inside, just Windex the outside and Godspeed." So, what were they going to say? "Hey, you did your job." Like, what happened if you had got a talking to?
That honestly, nothing really happened. They would talk to you, and maybe if that happened like a few times, they would probably just like fire you or something. Um, or like
Really?
stop giving you hours or however they did that and wait for you to quit. I don't really know exactly how they did that with people because I never got in trouble.
Did you ever witness anybody getting in trouble for that, or talk to anybody about that?
Oh yeah, when I trained people before I left, and I would be the one that would have to go talk to people sometimes about, you completely missed this spot on this order, or when I'd be training people, there were certain employees that would purposely not do some of the things that we were telling them to do. And I
Yeah.
don't know why, but yeah, some people just did not want to do what they were told.
See, I was giving the store a little bit more credit than it really deserves, because you've now confirmed that even with the idea of, oh, we'll just fix the mistakes as they come in and that'll be cheaper than actually paying somebody to clean all the consoles to go out, they don't even have that game plan in mind. So my next question has to be, in terms of the owner Drew interacting with the staff, I've done a couple of videos with Anthony, and obviously Anthony, I think, still works there, right? He worked there when you worked there?
No, I think by the time I started, I think he'd been gone for at least a year.
Oh, he left. Because, yeah, I was going to ask you about Anthony, but if you weren't there for that, you know, if you watch all of our videos, you've seen that there was a rumor going around that Anthony got to the point of he had to be drunk to be at work. So I was going to ask you, did you ever witness any of that sort of bullying from Drew to any of the staff members while you were there? Because that's essentially, again, take this with a grain of salt. I can't confirm this 100%, but there was a lot of posting talking about the fact that Anthony had to drink on the job to handle Drew. So from the videos, I mean, I could say it looks that way, but we don't have any proof of it.
So yeah, I don't have any. First of all, I'm the one that started saying that. I started leaving comments telling people that story, but that was actually told to me by Dustin, the repairs guy, when I worked there.
Okay, it
Uh,
was you. That's why I was
yeah,
like, wait a minute. No, yeah, I'd heard it, and I'm like, holy crap. So Dustin told you that Anthony had to drink to be at work to handle Drew's nonsense.
yeah, Drew and Rob specifically because they were both bullies. Um,
I was just about to ask you how tough was it to work with Drew?
I mean, with him not being in the building all the time, it wasn't so bad. honestly, my biggest problem was the shipping manager. He was a huge asshole, but I feel like that was because Drew was a huge asshole and was kind of like pushing stuff on
Licing
him.
into him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
passing it down, right? Because
yeah,
there's no
basically.
structure at this place. It seems like, you know, even at like a mom and pop shop, they have a certain guidance that comes from the top down. And it sounds like this was just a cool place to work and nobody really gave a shit. Like, let me just use my knowledge of video game stores here. I'm assuming that that place was also a goddamn disaster when it came to inventory in certain
Oh
sections.
yeah.
So I'm guessing
Of
that
course.
there's no inventory in that store really. There's probably a working inventory, but I'm guessing it's probably a disaster, right?
Now I think it's better because around the time I left, they were hiring more people and they did hire someone specifically to do the inventory.
Yeah.
And they did that because, and this happened pretty much every day that I worked there, something would go missing. Like some game would just go missing off of a shelf
Oh my
or
God.
from an order. Because what they, I don't know why they would do this actually, but there were times where people would like leave an order with all the stuff on like Rob's desk, which was already cluttered. And he would go looking for it later on, and there would be like a game missing that somebody picked out and cleaned and was ready to be shipped, and now it's gone. And that person has to probably wait until we get another one in stock sometimes. So it
Yeah.
got so out of control with them losing stuff that they had to hire somebody specifically to do that because they didn't have as
Sounds like it had a theft problem.
that's what I was thinking, but
Well,
I don't know because I
I
never.
mean, from my point of view, having worked in a store like this, it usually is that another staff member will come along and see a game that they need for their order, and
Yeah.
they'll just take it from anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's in a box, it's on
Okay.
a shelf. So, I mean, you know, you could speculate somebody was stealing in there. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if people are stealing left, right, and center from DK Oldies that work there because it's number one, probably super easy. And
Oh
number
yeah.
two, it's from your point of view, you're saying it's like hell to work there in some cases. So staff members will steal if they're being treated this way, right? So I'm kind of curious about, you know, I don't want to get into the details of how much they sold, but I'm assuming another part of this like issue is they probably sold a lot of product and it was probably difficult to keep up. I'm assuming that's why there was a lot of these like train wrecks happening, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
But I
when
feel like, hold on one
yeah,
second,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
feel like until the YouTube like gaming slash tech community caught on with them, they got away with this for a while. And I think was the tamper sticker kind of a deterrent to keep people from going inside and seeing that they weren't really refurbishing the consoles? Because it seems like that sticker was a good shield for a long time. Was that the case?
Yeah, 100% because we told people if you as soon as you remove the sticker, we can't accept it for a return. So if you and we had to put it over one of the screw holes on whatever system so that if you wanted to open it, you had to take the sticker off.
And that was in place so people essentially would not tamper with it, right?
Yeah.
And was that made clear to you guys when you started working there? Like when you first cleaned a system, they said this sticker right here is going on this hole so no one opens it.
Yep. Every
I,
single system had to have one, and every single one had to have it over one of the holes specifically for that
so
reason.
basically, every staff member working there knows exactly why that sticker's going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which,
it's to keep people out of the system because they aren't refurbishing them and they
Yeah,
want to scare
absolutely.
people off.
so what would happen, for instance, if something got sent back to you that you'd shipped out and the system was dirty? Not that it happened to you. It sounds like, you know, I also want to say this. Out of all of these staff I've talked to, I can't say anything about the other people I've talked to because they didn't want to say anything. But in terms of you coming out and talking about this, you do seem like you legit wanted to work there. And everything you're saying, of course, you're saying that you would take extra time to clean things because you knew it was going to maybe you know, somebody that would appreciate a clean system, right? Because I watched one of your videos, you talked about that. Can you sort of walk us through how that happened? Like, why did you literally take initiative to do even better than what they taught you?
It's honestly just because I grew up surrounded by retro video games, like since I was 3. I loved them. And the 64 is my favorite specifically. So I would specifically get those orders. And I don't know, I just wanted, because people are getting these sometimes for their kids to play, or they're trying to relive a childhood memory with some friends or something like that. And
Hmm.
you don't want to get something that's got a bunch of dust and hair inside of it.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. I think it was more of my conscience. I couldn't send out a console that I knew had mouse shit or something inside of it because I just felt wrong doing that.
Well, on top of it too, you were there for the same amount of hours anyway, so it was kind of like, if I'm gonna be here, I might as well actually refurbish the thing right,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that too.
It's not like they were sending you home earlier or anything like that, right?
No, they needed all the help they could get, so they would have us there as late as they could.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah.
so did Joey have his presence when you worked there in terms of online presence? Like, did they have a plan in place for the social media at that time?
Yeah, they were doing videos when I started working there, and Joey was doing the live unboxings, but they hadn't started with the TikTok until I think halfway through me working there. So, and
Yeah,
that's
that
what really took off.
yeah, I was going to ask you about this. When you were there, that's when that really took off. So, did you sort of witness that go through the roof? And did they make a change in how they dealt with the online when the TikTok exploded?
Yeah, they started hiring people um to help Joey to be like an assistant basically, so he didn't have to do everything himself. And they bought more equipment, and they decided to clear out a part of the store specifically for his desk for the videos. And so yeah, as I was working there, they were slowly taking it more seriously and kind of changing how it looked and
Yeah.
So what was Joey's role before social media manager there?
I know that Joey started as a shipper just like me, but that's as far as I know. I don't actually know how he got to be in the position that he's in.
Well, Joey's climbing his way up the ranks, huh?
Yeah, because
Well,
as far as I know, he used to write like for a gardening magazine. So, and
oh no.
he's not even like really into video games at all. Like
No, I'm
you wouldn't
shocked.
be able to talk to him about video games at all. So I don't
Well,
how
yeah.
the hell he got there.
Well, dude, you could tell by the videos because he's like, this game's cool. And like, he's just saying key words that parents of like a 7-year old that wants a Nintendo would say, oh, this guy knows what he's talking
Yeah,
about. He's like, look, it's Super Mario 2. He can jump. And you're just like, as a gamer, you're like, I could see right through all this. But I
yeah.
will say, he's done an amazing job. Like it didn't blow up for no reason. It blew up because of his personality and stuff. So, I never blame Joey for anything that's going on over there, but it kind of leads me into another question about the morale of the staff there. Like when you were working, how many other staff members were there at any given time? And what was the overall sort of vibe of working there? Like, were the staff happy in general, or was it sort of like, hey, this is a job, it's video games, this is cool, who gives a shit about it?
I think there would be about 7 or 8 of us total um, at a time, and the morale wasn't during the day. Like it kind of sucked because you had Rob kind of being hard on everyone, and he was just as bad as Drew in some ways, like making offensive jokes kind of for no reason. And then you had Drew come in sometimes and just
Without going into detail, what kind of jokes would he say?
I don't remember specifics because I have a horrible memory, but he would kind of just make like these stupid little wisecracks at people that I
Mm.
think he thought he was coming off as funny, but it was more like a douchebag thing to say,
Okay, okay.
that kind of thing. Um, but as far as morale goes, people weren't really that happy there. I remember a lot of times where the other employees, I would try to, because I was excited to work there at first, and I'd try to be friends with everyone, and people were just irritated with the way that Drew was bitching at people about doing stuff wrong all the time, um and I don't know, just being hard on everyone. So it could be a little depressing there. During the summer of 2020 though, it was a lot better because we would stay after hours, and most people would leave, like the managers and shit would leave, and we would just kind of hang out and drink beers and do more work and stuff like that. And that was a lot more chilled out. But that's because Drew and Rob weren't fucking there. So
Yeah, that sounds like I've worked at shit jobs that were tolerable when the upper management was gone. So that doesn't make the job not shit. That just means you got a reprieve from the shit,
yeah.
which is essentially um what it sounds like it comes down to. So in terms of like was the kind of pay they were giving? Was it a living wage, like, or was it like they just, okay, let's get some college kids in here for weed money and that's it?
That was basically what it was. It's just getting
Mm.
some kids in for weed money. They paid me anywhere from like $9 to 9.50, something like that. And I'm pretty sure at the time I had friends that were working at a McDonald's that was paying them like 12 to $15 at a
Yeah.
McDonald's. So,
Jesus Christ. And they
and I
were
lived
bringing
an
the money.
hour away. So that's when you say like it seems like I wanted to work there. I really did. Like I drove an hour getting $9 an hour. That killed my gas because I was driving a minivan. And so I drive an hour there and an hour home. And that was one of the reasons why I had to eventually quit because I couldn't afford it anymore. It wasn't worth it.
Do you think that they regret now with how they're being exposed? Because I guess they were getting away with not actually fixing consoles for a very long time. Do you think maybe they regret getting this social media presence? Because I feel like without it, we would have never found them. I know we would have never found them, actually.
Probably. They probably regret it a little bit. I know Drew is very narcissistic, so he just thinks that he's right
No.
all the time. But I'm sure that they regret um, how much social media presence they got now that everybody's shitting all over them. And you can clearly see in some old videos they posted like him harassing Anthony
Yeah.
that
I
that was a
covered one of
bad
those, man.
idea.
Dude, I covered one of those, and I was like, as a manager of a store like this, I keep saying that, but I can put myself right into your shoes. And I've been in a store where there's literally games everywhere, mess over here, and people yelling and screaming, and it's lunacy. But the one thing I could say about DKOldies is like every staff member I've sort of seen, a lot of them really want to work there, except the owners are just like the assholes that are stopping them from really achieving greatness at the store. It's like poor Anthony just seemed like a dude who really just wanted to work there. And it's like every video I saw with him, Drew's like such an asshole to him. Do you remember anything that Drew did to any of the staff that you witnessed that you were like, oh geez, here we go again?
Every single time he came out of his office, he would, well, not every time, but most times, he would go straight to Joey's desk and he would just tell him right in front of everybody else because it was all one big room.
Yeah.
He would just tell him everything wrong that he did in whatever video he posted. So, like, Joey would post the video, and after like an hour, maybe a day, something like that, Drew would come out and he said, you did something stupid in that video or you shouldn't have done this, and it's like that was your idea, like you told him to do that, and now you're coming and telling him that was a dumb thing to do because everything that happens in that store goes through Drew first, and especially like the way that things are marketed and in the social media thing, even though Joey's the social media manager and he
Mm-hmm.
does kind of have some freedom to create ideas. Drew would have to approve everything anyway, so it was basically everything that happened and came out of that he knew about.
Does Joey have a stake in the company now, or does he just enjoy like being slapped around by Drew?
I think Joey just enjoys being slapped around. He always seemed kind of like a fucking sex slave to me. Like he just gets butt. I don't know. That's just the way that I think of it.
Oh no.
It's like the guy was like basically a gimp. Just do whatever the fuck you were told, and Drew slaps your ass, and you just do whatever you know. So he doesn't. He's spineless and doesn't have a backbone, but no, he doesn't have a stake in the company. Joey doesn't really have like authority over anything there. Maybe now it's different, but when I worked there, he had no authority over anyone or anything.
Be interesting maybe now if he owns part of the company or maybe he
He doesn't
invested in it.
own. No
Maybe, but
way.
from the way that I know him, he doesn't seem like the kind of person that would even be like that. That would even
So, how did you end up leaving the company? And was it on good terms, or were you like, screw this, you guys are assholes? Like, how did it actually end for you working there?
kind of both. I put my 2 weeks in. A lot of stuff was happening. Like I told you, I couldn't really afford to keep going there all the time.
Yeah.
And I was also gonna have a baby in the next few months, so I really needed to find a better paying job.
Hmm.
And I found one that was a lot better and had benefits and everything. But I also, towards the end of my 2 weeks, I think it was the last day, I could kind of just had a mental breakdown because I couldn't take the way that it was working there and how stressful the shit was and how depressing the atmosphere got. And that mixed with my life being all chaotic at the time just made me want to quit. So that last day of my 2 weeks, I just left. I just walked out.
So I think we'll end things with this. One thing I've noticed too is DKOldies does not hold themselves accountable at all. If anything, they are trying to sweep under the rug the wrongdoings that they're doing right now. You say it's always been that way. What's something that you would say to Drew and DKOldies and everyone there?
I don't honestly know. I was asked that question when I did a different interview about this, and I didn't even know what to say there because I don't understand why he doesn't see that he would make more money if he was truthful with people.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he is okay. He can sleep at night knowing that he's ripping off people who are paying all this money because they're trusting that DK Oldies is going to give them the product that they're telling them they're going to give them. I don't know. I'd probably, if I could ask him anything, I'd just ask him why the hell he does that.
Because I feel like they're on a path to this being their demise because they're not holding themselves accountable, you know. And once people realize they're selling them overpriced junk, they're not, no one's ever going to go back again. No matter how many smiling TikTok shorts that Joey makes, people are like, oh, yeah, that's the company that sent me a N64 full of a bunch of mouse shit.
Yeah, I think they have a dedicated fan base enough that they'd still have people buying from them, but not nearly enough people to be able to stay in business because though the fan base, the way that that goes is essentially like if they know that you're a customer that always buys from them, or if you're a collector and you're getting a lot of shit, they will have like Joey or somebody higher up check your order and clean it. And that's something I always hated was that they play favorites. So if I'm just going there to buy a game or a system, it doesn't really matter so much. But if I'm like a recurring customer, they're gonna make sure that my shit's clean. And I think that's why they get so much defense from their customers because these people get their shit clean because they always buy from them and they don't buy from anybody else. But the
Yeah.
rest of us are getting shitty stuff.
See,
So, like Mr. Beast, they probably like licked all the cartridges clean, is what you're saying.
Oh hell yeah. Yeah, because if they know that you're gonna make a video or that you're popular and you're going to tell people about that, then yeah, of course they're going to clean the shit out of your stuff and
so
probably send you refurbished stuff as well.
so at the end of the day, it's basically Drew met a lady one day who sold cat food on the internet. He got an idea to flip video games, and somehow he turned that flipping of video games into, I'm assuming, a multi-million-dollar business. And it's probably running at a level that he's happy with the income, and he just doesn't give a shit about the rest.
Yeah, it's basically like they'll take a few of the faults because they get more wins, if that makes sense, or they'll take a few losses because they get more wins.
Yeah, I
So
assume that they would have a strong fan base because you got to remember a lot of stuff that they sell that they actually clean can go for a lot of money. That's what's holding the business together, and all this other shit they're doing is just play money. Probably just helps the business go. It's those hardcore people, like you said, that are buying. Because the same thing at my store when I work there, they could get rid of 90% of everything, and we'd still run like nothing happened because we have like a dedicated group that would buy like games worth thousands of dollars.
yeah,
So, in closing, is there anything you want to add that you haven't said in some of your videos?
I guess if anything, all the employees there, at least the ones that I know, they're all good people. A lot of people have been shitting on Joey. They shit on whoever in the repairs department. And
Mm-hmm.
even though I kind of have my own personal issues with them, they're not bad people. It's Drew that is causing all of this to happen. He's the whole reason why it's a scam. And some of the people working there, I think probably are blinded by it. Probably because they don't want to believe it and they want to just keep buying their shit with their fucking employee discount and just ignore it. But um, yeah, at the end of the day, it's all Drew that makes all these decisions, and he's the one that is causing this whole thing to be a fucking scam.
Yep, he's steering the Titanic into the iceberg, and he's too narcissistic to care.
Yeah, and I think pretty soon it really is going to hit them. I don't think right now they probably don't think that it's that bad, but I think in a few months or so they're going to really start seeing numbers drop off because people are just learning more and more about how bullshit it is, and they're going to stop getting as many orders real soon.
Yeah, especially when we do our DKOldies parody short too, because I know they hope the shorts will push our stuff down in the algorithm. All right, Jigsaw, it was great having you on. I appreciate you being comfortable to be on to talk about this. And thank you, everybody. All right, guys, this is Rich of Review Tech USA. Make sure you sub to the channel and also make sure to follow me over on my live streaming channel on YouTube and also on Twitch at RTU Streams. And I appreciate everyone coming through. And thank you so much for supporting the show. Have a good one.